destroying democracy and using your money to do it. I've said it many times on this channel. Democracy is dying here in Ireland, if not dead already. As someone once said, not me, someone far more enlightened, if voting really mattered, they wouldn't let you do it. Now, the latest scheme, and it's been going on in the last few years, that the government in their great wisdom have come up with, is yet another step on the road to hell, on the road to a completely dysfunctional democracy, a dysfunctional parliament, where the same people always seem to end up at the top. And that's exactly the purpose of the exercise. When you go off what I believe is the gold standard for anything, merit, simple, old-fashioned merit, equality of opportunity. Once you deviate from that, for whatever reason, no matter how virtuous it sounds, no matter how benign it sounds, no matter how progressive and modern it sounds, you are lost. You're basically casting off from the shore and floating out into open ocean. There's nothing tethering you to reality, because let me tell you how it works. It starts off as it has in most countries in the West. It starts off with quotas. What we need is quotas, because society has to be reflected in all these organisations, from your government to your councils to your tiddlywinks club. Everything has to be representative of the breakdown of society. Okay, so now that sounds really virtuous and benign and very progressive, doesn't it? Sounds marvellous. It sounds utopian. Well, the problem is this. Okay, so first the women step up. The feminists step up and say, listen, there's not enough women in Parliament, not enough women in STEM, not enough women doctors, not enough women. They never say there's not enough women bin collectors. Funny, that never seems to come up. Or drain cleaners. Just a quirk. I'm sure they'll get round to it eventually, but I've never heard any mention of that. So okay, you say to yourself, great, let's put in a quota system. Let's put in a quota. There has to be so many women pilots as part of the overall, but there has to be so many women politicians. There has to be so many women doctors. Going to make it an absolute, there has to be. That way we're going to redress the previous ills, fix the problem. Now, you've immediately drifted off the whole equality thing. It's no longer the best person for a job. It's the best person for a job, but we also have to pick certain people. All right, well, fair enough. You might get away with that one. But then the LGBT gang step up and say, listen, that's working rather well for the women there. They're making great strides there. They're getting really great ins to all sorts of places. We want a piece of that because we're not represented enough. Okay, so the government said, well, okay, fair enough. You have a good point there, all you LGBT people. Yeah, we're going to now put in quotas for you too. All right, so now you've got women with quotas, and now you've got LGBT for quotas. And then the Muslims step up and they say, whoa, hold on there. You know, we're a growing population. We're here. We're a growing population in Ireland, the country, in the West. Well, what about us? We're not represented enough. Okay, so government says, well, you know, you have a good point. So now it's women and it's the LGBT gang and it's the Muslims. And then the black people, coloured people say, whoa, hold on now. Hold on. What about us? We're here too, you know. We're not represented. So you see where this goes. So you eventually end up with people who have a gammy leg saying, listen, I don't see people with gammy legs in Parliament. I don't see any. Okay, there might be one. But I don't see them in doctors. I don't see them in various forms on facets of life. What about people with a limp? What about people with 6 toes? What about them? Who stands up for them? Who's representing them? We want a quote. So you see where this goes. It starts off from a very virtuous place. That sounds really progressive and marvellous and wonderful. Let's implement that. So now you have to pick X, Y, and Z. And then you end up with 40,000 different groups, all with a quota. And then you just have to pick from all of them. Because if you don't get your stats right, the busies will probably come take it away in the back of a squad car. That way lies madness. That way lies ruin. As I said at the start, the gold standard is equality. Equality. I mean, it's simple. It's so simple, and that once you have achieved the point where anybody from any background, doesn't matter if you came from the richest family in the country or the poorest family in the country, you get an equal go, an equal chance to show what you got. And if you've got what it takes, you're in. Marvellous. It sounds simple because it is simple, but as soon as you deviate from that, you are sailing off into the wide open ocean. And eventually, a storm will strike up and sink your boat. They started at the last local elections, possibly before it, to provide state funds to political parties if they choose, as they call it, diverse candidates. Now, diverse candidates, of course, as you and I both know, means anybody who's not Irish, or possibly anybody who's not white Irish. That is essentially, it's a bribe. They're basically trying to rig the game. They're giving this free money to political parties in order to bribe them into putting forward candidates, to choosing candidates, not on the basis of experience, not on the basis of how long they've been in serving the community, say, in various capacities, not for how long they've been in the party. No, they just want skin colour, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation. And they want to pay for that diversity with your money. Yes, they want to gerrymander candidacy. They want to rig democracy with taxpayers' money. Take a look at some snippets from this little interview yesterday with Irish Government Minister Paschal Donohoe, who is Minister for, among other things, Reform. It seems the only thing he wants to reform is to reform us out of democracy. Interviews conducted by the legend that is Ben Scallon of Gript.ie, one of the only real journalists left in Ireland. One of the only journalists who actually take ministers and politicians to task, as journalists should do and used to do.
Do you think it's right that the government should be putting taxpayer funding into trying to manipulate the makeup of our elected bodies like councils, the House of the Oireachtas and things of that nature?
I wouldn't describe trying to make sure that we have candidates that reflect the diversity of our society as manipulation.
Well, I would, Paschal. I absolutely would. Bribing political parties to pick certain people over other people on certain criteria, that's exactly what manipulation is. That's exactly what it is. It's textbook manipulation. You're bribing them to do a certain thing. That is not democracy. That is not the will of the people. That's the government taking the people's money and using the money to rig and gerrymander elections, the election process. That's exactly what it is.
In relation to more broadly trying to ensure that we have a politics that reflects the diversity of our society, all the different cultural traditions, all the different groups that live in Ireland and make Ireland their home. For me, in order for politics to provide leadership and representation to people, it needs to reflect our people in the first place. And any euro that is spent in doing that, for me, is a euro well spent.
Pure waffle. Absolute, unadulterated word salad. It needs to. It needs to what? Who said it needs to? Who decides it needs to? You? People like you? People in power? No. Gerrymandering and rigging never works, and it's never good. Let everybody have an equal shot. Men, women, homosexuals, black people, Muslims. Let everybody have a free bite of the cherry. And let the chips fall where the democratic will of the people go.
Minister, I might just ask on that. I mean, you say that this is something that we're not doing well enough in, but surely in a meritocratic society where the people, everybody has a vote and we all vote for the candidates which we think best represent us, where the chips fall is the will of the people. I mean, obviously you would represent many people from different groups within your constituency, and I presume you don't think that you're unable to represent them adequately because they might be from a different ethnic group or sexuality, let's say.
Yes, nail on head. I couldn't have put it better myself. You see, The whole thing is an absolute pile of steaming you-know-what. As Ben says, let the will of the people come forth. Let them vote for who they want, let them elect who they want. It's the will of the people. And the great lie to this whole quota system, the great lie to this whole let's choose people on the basis of sexuality, on the basis of gender, on the basis of religion, on the basis of skin colour is, well, can Pascal here, who is obviously a white Irishman, can he not represent his constituents who happen to be Muslim or black? Can he not? He would argue, yes, he can, absolutely he can. Then why are we bothered with this bullshit? Parliament has to reflect society. We have to get the quotas right. We have to get the percentages right. No, give me the best person. I here locally in my locale, I'm represented by women who are brilliant. Brilliant representatives. Can a woman not represent me because she's a woman and I'm a man? Is that how it works? No, I should be up in arms about this. Well, how could she possibly represent me because she's a woman? No, she's brilliant. She's a great representative. Wonderful representative. And I'm proud to have her there. You see, this is where all this crap goes. Just give me the best you got. That's it. Then we'll all go home, satisfied, and sleep soundly in our beds. You want to know where this path leads you? Do you want to know where this path goes? Where it takes you? Let me tell you where it takes you. It takes you here. Check out these diversity hire candidates.
You campaigned hard for a yes vote.
Come on the Green Party.
Come on the Green Party.
Come on the
Is
Green
that right?
Party.
How do you feel about your loss today, Mr. Comegney?
Come on the Green Party, the
Huh?
best party in Ireland.
Would you support running the referendum again, Mr. Comegney?
The Green Party, the best party in Ireland.
Would you support running the referendum again, Mr. Comegney? Don't touch me, please. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Party, the best party in Ireland.
Would you support running the referendum again, Mr.
Green Party,
Comegney?
the best party in Ireland.
Have you anything else to say? Mr. Comegney, have you anything else to say?
Green Party, the best party in Ireland.
Or how about this complete and utter bellend and member of one of the ruling coalition parties, Councillor Abul Kalam Azad Talukter. Or let's call him, for the sake of brevity, diversity hire number 573. Fianna Fáil, the party that spawned him, has shimmied him up the greasy political bowl, only for him to make these remarks in the face of the rioting and disturbances which took place in Dublin after the 3 young children and their carer were viciously stabbed in the middle of the day in the middle of Dublin city by an Algerian immigrant. Well, this is what he said. Not even an animal does these kind of things. Nothing's thing. It is very shameful and they should get public punishment. I'd like to see them shot in the head or bring the public in and beat them until they die. Yes, well, call me old-fashioned, but I think I preferred county council and city council meetings better when they weren't discussing people getting beaten to a pulp or shot in the head. But that's just me. I'm old school. Isn't diversity wonderful? And to my UK cousins, I'm sure all of this will be very much old hat to you. I mean, you are the nation of, well, David Lammy.
What was the married name of the scientists Marie and Pierre who won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903 for their research into radiation?
Antoinette.
What? What the fuck?
Yes, guys, I have to say it, and I'm saying it honestly, and I'm saying it with conviction. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion is nothing other than, as AC/DC prophetically sang back in the day, the highway to hell.